And here we all are again, like we never left, isn't it? Well, some of us haven't. Greetings, everyone, fellow Fatacasters, and hello, chaps, and all of that. It's Friday. One on the beer. Cheers. A slight change this week. Amstel is what I'm on this week, mainly because my local Morrison's didn't have. They still had the deal on the Carlsberg, but they didn't. It was like 2 cases for 20 quid, but they only had 1 case, so I had to kind of get a couple of slabs of Amstel as well. So there you go. Quite pleasant, actually. One thing I've noticed about Amstel is that, and every bloke of a certain age will know this one, you know what happens when you're having a beer and you have another one, and then you have another one and another one and another one. At some point, you've got to visit the little boy's room, as it were. You've got to break the seal. And once you do, it's an ongoing thing, isn't it? Well, you know, the Amstel doesn't induce that feeling quite so much. You can be much further down the track before you have to break the seal. Anyway, that's by the by. Let's have a look and see who's in and whose teacher's pet was first in. Francis Chambers first through the door. And I noticed that chat is doing that weird thing again that it did last week by, posting like a bunch of numbers after people's names and so I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I can tell it's Francis Chambers first in. Then Auto Get and Dave Fiendish. El Baldo 64 is in, as is Rent to Kill. Paul Trainer BSC, no less. And as ever, what a kind gentleman he is. He's chucked a couple of quid in the tip jar. And I say I've got another one there as well. Let's have a look, see who that was. That comes from Terry's 3753. I probably know you by another name in the old days before YouTube chat started putting weird versions of your names up. But yeah, $5 Canadian for my beer fund. Thank you so much, mate. That is very, very generous of you. Anyway, who else have we got? I'm sorry, I lost track of where I was there. Paul Trainer, we've got Ingrid, we've got Amadeus, we've got David James, Theme Tunes is in, so is Rubbish Guitar Bloke, and Malcolm Spillett, who may be a bit late. You have to collect a guitar from Robbie Gladwell's Guitar Surgery, Dr. Robert himself. Yes, I used to read his column every month in Guitarist magazine. Nice to know he's still around. Then there's Vincent Brennan and Anton. We've got Mark Kerno and have I already said Dave Fiendish? I think I have, but I'll just give you another name check there, mate. We've got Stephen Hedger. First time back for a little while. I hit the big 7-0 a few weeks ago, and it's taken a while to sink in. Getting old really sucks. Perhaps a beer might help. There are few things that where beer doesn't help, I find. We got Frank Bolam and Peter Collins, PFY Guitars, Paul and his guitars. Chip Young is in, and so is Johnny Random, a little bit late. Hope we're all well. Well, I'm doing all right, mate. You know, still above ground. That'll do me. We've got Ben Allmark and Joe McMurray, John Ross. And let's scroll down a little bit further. We got Dr. Gomez. Nice to see you in there, mate. What are you saying there? Let's put you up on screen. Just spent 30 minutes or so watching Andy Edwards ripping the pee out of guitarists inside a guitarist's mind. I haven't laughed so much in a very long time. I shall bear that in mind. Need something to kind of watch on YouTube before I hit the sack after the current Mrs. Robson has retired. Then there's Peter Hall, Chris Ottowell, and Johnny D. Anyone else? Cylon Hybrid, Doc Alders, him and his good lady Helen are in a dark and damp Sheffield. Yes, I've never seen rain come down quite like it. Well, not in recent times, like it did this afternoon in Redcar. boy, did it bounce down. There's Snackham, Dave Stevens by any other name. Carl Texper, Colin Falcon is in. So is Mark Card. And we've got Thomas Mulvaney and Stevie Mack. Ian Clark is having a sneaky little listen at work. And there's Peter Williamson, Robin Fawcett, and Grandpa Joe. As you know, it's the tradition that I always put Grandpa Joe up on screen because he always does a bit of shilling for me. So let's get it out of the way this week. Greetings, Fattercasters. Want a good read? Consider one of John's books, guaranteed to help your music skills. Also, take a look at the benefits of his Patreon. Tier 2 includes a weekly Zoom chat. Yes, and an addendum to that is the Tier 2 chaps have already seen all of the videos for this year and some of the ones for January because you get early access with Tier 2. They go up on Patreon as soon as I've made them, and then they just get stacked up and scheduled to go out, excuse me, on YouTube at the appointed date. Who else have we got? We've got Artist Bubba, we've got Rexomatic in Phoenix, Arizona, setting up for some more videos tomorrow with some lesser-known guitars. Should be interesting. Excuse me, I need a little bit more lubricant. Oh, dear me, that's better. We got Maidenman 74. Mr. Chris is in. So is John Channing and Darren Myers. Session guitar legend Gary Shaw is in, as is Brad Dowell and Jay Aoyong. There's Bill Mumbo and William Forrest and my old pal Steve Cassidy guitar. Don't forget, straight after this live stream, head off over to Steve's channel and watch his video. I think it's all about buyer's remorse. This one, isn't it, Steve? I think I saw that plug you put up for it earlier. Another one I shall catch later after. We're not having curry tonight. We're not having curry at Robson Towers. As I say, that is usually a kind of staple of Friday night, beer and curry. But Mrs. Robson is off curry at the moment. And so it's just kind of residing in the freezer until such time that either I fancy a whole one to myself, which has been known, or she gets back on the curry stream. We're having chili instead. My world famous in this household homemade chili, with yes, I'm looking forward to that. Anyone else? Doc Alders, what you saying there, mate? My live chat keeps dropping and popping back up again. Anyone else having issues, or is it at my end? It's fine here, mate. Let's see if there's any reports of any other. And no one else seems to be mentioning it. Mr. Chris is saying Boddington's today, recording studio today, and use the Ibanez. Yes, you've just got yourself a flashy new gem, haven't you? Let's have a look. What else have we got? We've got Phil Leatham and anyone else new. Triple Distill, Jerry White, is that Perineum? And Jimmy James is in. So is Genus 1050. I wish that the chat would go back to its old school way of doing things. We've got Mott the Hoople. Nice to see you, mate. And the legend that is the Lamb is among us, ladies and gentlemen, as is Searching for Tone. And who else? We've got Greg 2723. This is taking longer than normal. Anyone else? You've just been really, really talkative in the run up to this. We've got Sometimes Dim, Never Thin, and we've got my old pal Edwin. There he is, Famtoon and 18. There, that's my old mate from the Netherlands, Edwin. I beg your pardon. I'm breaking these teeth in for the dog. And we've got GRB Aquatics and Alfie Mine. Well, I think we got through that reasonably well. Yes. So hope you've all had a tolerable week. It's been a busy one for me, I won't deny. But I like keeping busy. I've got that Christmas, that all the way from however many days this is, Christmas Eve, I'll be doing my last lesson on December the 23rd, and then all the way to January the 2nd. I'm taking that whole block of time off. There will be no YouTube videos going up during that time. It's, I'm pulling down the shutters for Christmas, as I do every year, but I will be doing a Christmas Day live stream at 1 p.m. UK time. So stick that one in your diaries, because we can compare notes on what Santa brought us. Anyway, I need to tell you what's coming up on the channel this week. Recently, you saw me doing a review of the Universal Audio Lion pedal, and I said, probably in that video, that I was going to do a comparison with this, the TC Electronic Jims 45. It is comparing apples with oranges, I'll fully admit that, because the Lion pedal is more of a plexi kind of thing. The Jims 45 is a JTM 45. But, I thought, well, why not do a comparison between two Marshall-esque pedals, very Marshall-esque pedals. Anyway, that's coming up on Sunday. Then on Monday, a little bit of a pentatonic-themed video. Hopefully this one won't get snagged by the well, it hasn't. It didn't get snagged by the copyright wombles. Basically, how you can use your familiar licks without learning any new shapes or patterns or anything like that, but in a different way, in a way that you probably haven't thought of in the past, that kind of can lead to some interesting results. And Edwin Toonan, you are a genuine, generous person, mate. Glühwein and Heineken in the house in Amsterdam. Good for you, mate. Well, that's very generous of you. Thank you so much. Yes, so anyway, where was I? Yes, Pentatonic Rutbuster. That's what Monday's video was all about. Then a Top 5 Tuesday, which was suggested by a student of mine. If you're watching this, Krista, you know who you are. He said, why don't you do a Top 5 on your favourite drum intros? So I have, and that is Tuesday's video. Wednesday is the one that I think many people will get quite a bit of value out of, because it's a rhythm video, and it's all to do with strumming. The tuition videos that I do tend not to do as well as the ranty videos that I do, or the gear-related videos that I do. But I like to do the tuition videos because quite often I'll get some really amazing feedback from doing them. People say, thank you for doing that. That's been bothering me for ages. Can you do some more of that? So for the let's say the minority of people who really enjoy those videos and don't scroll past, always going to be talking about bloody music theory again. I'll watch his tomorrow video, which I fully understand. That's fair enough. But Wednesday's video is all about how to stop your strumming sounding a little bit dull and flat and lifeless and, kind of just boring, basically. So watch that video if that's something that you are, or if you ever have suffered from. Then Thursday, I'd love to be able to pick up the guitar and show it to you, that I'm going to be demoing on Thursday, but I can't, because it's gone back to the very generous chap who loaned it to me, a lad called Spencer. Sometimes crops up in the chat. He might be here now because I haven't been paying attention. A lad called Spencer, he crops up in the chat as Heafley. Anyway, he loaned me his Ibanez Destroyer. I think you saw me kind of unveiling it on the live stream a few weeks ago. I seem to have a vague memory of doing that. So yes, a vintage Ibanez Destroyer. That's what I'm reviewing on Thursday. And then after Thursday, we're back on the beer, because it'll be Friday. And that's what we do on a Friday. Cheers. Anyway, before we go too much further, I've got some notes here. I made some notes about stuff I need to talk about. I just want to say a massive belated happy Thanksgiving to all of the stateside viewers. Thanksgiving isn't something we do in the UK. It's not a British tradition. As I understand it, Thanksgiving was. Am I right in thinking it's some kind of equivalent of what we used to do over here, which you don't tend to get so much nowadays, but the Harvest Festival. I think that's something along those lines, isn't it? Um, but we have different traditions, and that's fine. It's those little kind of quirks and identifiers that give us our own sort of sense of who we are. It's like I didn't know until relatively recently that in America you guys don't do Boxing Day. Boxing Day, for anyone that doesn't know, is the day after Christmas Day, December the 26th. Christmas Day, you're kind of cabined up with your family, and it's very much just a kind of intimate thing. And Boxing Day is the day when you go out and socialise. You might go to some event on a boxing. Like last year, I had a day at the races with a good pal of mine. So that's. I think that the name Boxing Day comes from when it was the day after Christmas Day when the churches used to open the poor boxes and distribute, gifts and kind of money and whatever to the local peasantry. Excuse me. And so we don't do Thanksgiving. You don't do Boxing Day. So there you go. Let's just catch up with the chat. We got Pesky. Greetings from where was that? I've lost you now. San Antonio, Texas. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I mean, I used to sit watching, kind of John Wayne and Randolph Scott films with my dad when I was a kid, and there'd be all of these place names like Texas and San Antonio and, all of these kind of places that just seem so romantic and glamorous and, kind of far away. And here I am on a Friday evening out in the sticks in a little town called Redcar on the North Yorkshire coast, and people from these places are tuning in to watch me. I just think that's fantastic, and it's not quite being starstruck, but it's something close to that. What else have I missed there? Mark Card is saying, "Don't you have Fall Harvest?" No, we used to do something called Harvest Festival. I remember it was quite big in the 70s when I was a kid. And like the school used to do a big thing for it, but you don't tend to hear it mentioned much these days. Let's have a look. Mark Fye, I beg your pardon, has just started a slush fund for a nice core PRS. Good for you, mate. I did a blog post about PRS today. I don't know if you saw that. Well, you won't if you're not on my Patreon. What are you saying there, Balder? Did you top it off with a night at the opera after some duck soup? No, I didn't. I know what you're referring to there. Some Marx Brothers films. And Muleman72 is saying it's St. Stephen's Day in Ireland. Yes, I only found that out. It's because it's marked in my calendar on my phone as being Boxing Day and St. Stephen's Day. Pesky is saying, "Love your playing, Johnny." Well, thank you, mate. I hope that's me you're talking to, or even if it isn't, somebody called Johnny can play pretty well. Johnny, what's his name? Budget guitar guy. He's got the whole punk thing down, hasn't he? Sorry for misspelling your name. Don't worry about it, mate. It's absolutely fine. I get the one thing that does kind of I wouldn't say it annoys me because that would be too strong, but it sort of makes me kind of raise my eyebrow a little bit is when I get people insisting my name is Robinson, because in this part of the world the name Robson, the surname Robson is kind of, it's almost as common as Smith or Jones. There are loads of us in this part of the world. Very common surname, but it's not elsewhere in the UK. So many people kind of just assume that it's Robinson, and it isn't. Anyway, Stephen Edger, what are you saying there, mate? What's happening with eBay? I had the worst experience ever with a nightmare buyer. Lunatics seem to have taken over the asylum. I don't know. What I do notice is that eBay now, they're not in a hurry to give you your money when you've sold something, have you? Like it always used to be, as soon as, it was marked as, because when the parcel tracking had said it's arrived at the other end, well, that was it. You got your money. Now it's like, oh, yeah, we'll give you your money tomorrow, maybe the day after. We'll see how we feel. Oh, it's a weekend, isn't it? Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, just you'll get it. Don't worry. But we'll keep it safe for you. And how many transactions go through eBay on a daily basis? And if they're doing that if they kind of got this big escrow account somewhere with everybody's money in it, how much interest is that earning them? It's something to think about, isn't it? And I also just want to say a massive thank you for the feedback that I got yesterday from yesterday's video on my rant about the copyright wombles. Since I made that video, which was a few weeks ago, because as I say, when I started doing this kind of daily video thing, I realised I could make probably at least 1.5, sometimes 2 videos, sometimes more than that in a day. So you soon get kind of stacked up and get like, kind of stacked up into the future with a load of videos scheduled to go out. So I made that video, and over a few years, that kind of gets to quite a lead time that you've got on them. But as I say, Tier 2 Patreon, you get them as soon as they're finished. But yeah, thank you to everyone for giving me the feedback on that video. I've been having a little think in the intervening time. I was quite pissed off, not to put too fine a point on it, over the situation that I described in yesterday's video, and it was still sort of burning a little bit. But I've cooled off a little bit since then, and I am still going to continue doing blues on YouTube. And I think I might have a way round the kind of fallacious, vexatious copyright claims. So you'll have to just wait and see till the next blues video, which will be in the new year. But fear ye not, there is going to be. If I feel like doing that kind of video, I'm still going to do it. Muleman 72 rather. Getting you confused with Maidman 74. It's saying, are they all from Universal Music Group? From memory, I couldn't tell you if they all are, but a large proportion are. GRB Aquatics is saying, yet there is a John Robinson, cool Australian 1960s psychedelic rock guitarist. Check him out. I shall have to do that. Every now and again, vanity gets the better of me, and I Google my own name. I convince myself it's just to see how my website is doing in the Google rankings, and it does okay. But there must be some big foundry or something, either owned by or kind of started by somebody with the name John Robson, because if you Google John Robson, one of the first results you get is John Robson Metals. So who knows? Anyway, let's crack on having what you saying there, mate? Winning bid on eBay. Winning bidders change their mind. That's happened to me a few times. Yeah, I didn't know you were allowed to change your mind as a winning bidder. I thought you'd the terms and conditions and everything. You'd effectively entered into a contract as soon as you've bought something. The only I thought, unless the item was not as described, that you were legally bound to go through with the transaction. G.L. Young saying, wow, if your surname is Robinson, then your wife is ultra famous. Jackie Robinson. Okay, not quite with you there, mate. Is there somebody famous called Jackie Rob? There probably is, but I pay so little attention to popular culture. Where are we? Sorry, I clicked on the wrong one there. Hi, John. My bass rig packed up, so I got a new one. A TC Electronics 250 watt amp and cab. Had to plug my guitar through it, and through it, and sounded good. Well, yeah. I mean, one of the most famous bass amps that guitarists took to was the Fender Bassman, wasn't it? Uh, oh, this is useful information. There's some kind of strike system for backing out on a bid. I didn't know that. That's handy to know. And more good information on that. Distance selling regulations apply probably because it's not sold as seen. You'd get the 14 days statutory protection. Also, I'm not a lawyer. Vapey Robinson and the Miracles. Yes. I'm following medical advice with this. Back in 2008, I'd quit smoking. And then, sadly, my mother passed away, and I had a bit of a relapse and went back on the tobacco. And it was, round about that time that you start getting called in for your regular telling off from your doctor. And she says, "How's the smoking going?" I said, "Well, I'm afraid, yes," and explained the situation. And she said, "Why don't you try these new electronic cigarettes?" So I did, and I've never looked back. I think she meant to say, and then you can wean yourself off that as well. But she didn't actually say that bit. So I'm still following my doctor's advice. Mark Carter saying, Jackie Robinson, Brooklyn Dodgers. Okay, right. Well, two reasons why that one wouldn't have registered with me. One, because it's sport, and I was born without the sport gene. And two, because it's American sport. And apart from a brief flirtation that we had in the UK when we got a fourth TV channel in 1982, they were absolutely strapped for cash and they couldn't afford to buy the rights to any UK sport, but they managed to get the rights to American football, and that became quite popular over here for a few years. Oh, thank you so much. That's very generous of you. Thank you so much. A couple more quid in the tip jar. Massively generous of you. Peter Collins, I've vaped since 2011. Nice one, mate. Yeah, it is what it is. If it takes a few years off my life, then so be it. It's just, it is what I do. It's, I'm a vapist, as it were. Anyway, time to have a look at some pictures of the wonderful guitars you chaps have sent in. I did mention last week that I was getting a little bit low on stock for viewers' guitar picks, and dearie me, but you've stepped up to the plate. I got inundated with pictures this week, which has meant that I didn't have to apologise and say, well, I haven't got anything to show you this week, because I do. So let's go to the screen share. And where are we? Here we go. This one comes from Adrian Laws, and this is his, well, you can see what it is. It's a Flying V. And I don't know, yeah. You think of a Flying V, and you think of that sort of blonde Carina kind of coloured thing, don't you? But that looks absolutely epic. Just that sort of black and white sort of thing. Very, very. Isn't that sort of similar to the one that KK Downing used to play from memory, or probably still does play? Just it's very similar to the one that I remember KK Downing playing when I saw him on TV something years ago. Lovely looking guitar. What have we got next? Another one from Adrian Laws. This is his Les Paul Standard. Yeah, that's a nice looking guitar, isn't it? That looks, yeah, I often, it's got that look of sort of a grand piano about it, hasn't it? That sort of, that looks classy indeed. I like that. As I do this one. This one comes from Len McIver. This is his Epiphone J200. Really, I mean, I shouldn't like guitars that look like this because it's just the the ultimate sort of flashiness, isn't it? And ornamentation and everything. But it's a beautiful looking thing. Thank you for sharing. And Mr. Chris, our resident Southpaw, this is his Fender Newport car. I'm not sure it's a car, mate. Electro. Yeah. You have sent me some pictures of lots of your guitars, Mr. Chris, and you have got an enviable collection. They're all the wrong way around for me, though. And there he is again. Chris Miles, I believe that was your stage name, wasn't it? A very young and fresh-faced looking Mr. Chris there, playing a Framus. Excuse me, I'm going to have to lubricate this beer hole again. This one comes from Mark Card. This is his CMG Ashley Chris Mitchell guitars. Candy apple red, stripy, mahogany body and neck, rosewood fretboard, DiMarzio PAF humbuckers, and 18-1 Grover tuners. I do like the way that go faster stripe. It just looks like, paint at first, and then you realise, you're actually seeing the timber through it. I think that's really nice looking. And what else have we got? This is Tom Clark's PRS project. This is not a real PRS. This is just a guitar that he's put together himself, and I'm not sure how much he's built, whether it came in a kit form or whether he's adapted it from another guitar or whatever. But the little giveaways are that you can tell that that's not a PRS trem, and Andy, you've even got the racing pigeons on the controls there. It's a fake. But it's a convincing looking one and an attractive looking one. And it's not to my taste, to be honest with you. I mean, we had a little bit of an email back and forth between me, Tom and I, and he says, I know you don't approve. Well, it's not that I disapprove. It's just that, it's not something I want to own. But, it's your money, mate. It's spend it on what you like. And you've got a lovely looking guitar there. This is Vincent Brennan's, how do we pronounce this? Neko or Gneko? Anyway, it's an alternative name for Greco. It's an EG480 from 1975, and it's a Japanese import. Yes, never played a Greco or a Bernie. Have I got a faint little bell tinkling in the back of my mind somewhere that it's the same company as Fernandez? I can't quite remember, but I'm sure you'll put me right in the chat. But yeah, lovely looking single cut. And this is, I think this is the last one this week. This is Vincent Brennan's Hotter. Hotter? H-O-T-T-A. How's that pronounced? I'm going to say Hotter. Number 110, acoustic guitar Hummingbird from 1970. Again, lovely looking guitar. It's, again, it's, that pickguard is a little bit ornate, but somehow, even though I don't normally like that kind of thing, it does look rather attractive. And that is this week's quotient. There's a word I've never used on the live stream before, a quotient of guitar pictures. If you have any pictures of guitars that you want to see me passing comment on and sharing with the wider world, then send them over. jrguitartuition@gmail.com. Just send you pictures. Doesn't even have to be a guitar. Could be your bass, could be your pedal board, could be your amp, could be whatever you use to make an unholy, glorious racket on. Just send me a picture over, and it'll go in the folder, and then I draw a few out at random every Friday, and they get shown on the show. Muleman, sorry, that went wrong there. Bernie is Fernandez, although Fernandez are no more. Yes, I did hear about that. Where I was going with that was that I have played a Fernandez, but I haven't played a Bernie. So, excuse me. Yes. Beer, I think. There we go. What else have I missed in the chat? Um, um, if you think KK Downing played a flying V like that, you've got another think coming. Boom, boom. Fair enough, mate. Sometimes dim, never thin says NFL is my favourite sport now. Real football has gone a bit Nancy. Beat the Spurs ground now for 3 very expensive games, and they were a full day's entertainment. Yeah, I mean, I think certainly for us chaps, you pick up the sport gene from your dad. It's a male bonding thing, isn't it? You go into the football match on a Saturday afternoon, you and your dad, and I just never did that because my dad wasn't into football. Now horse racing, no, there's a different thing. I skipped many a day's school to go horse racing with my dad. That was always a great day out, and that's the kind of thing I still enjoy doing. But having a favourite football team, and I just no, it's just never been part of my life, I'm afraid. Let's have a wee look. Jerry White is saying, should Gibson rename Epiphone as Gibson Export, like PRS guitars are still called PRS something? I did a video on this ages ago where, most like, PRS and Fender. Let's take PRS as an example. You've got the entry-level ones, which are the SE. Then you've got the mid-tier ones, which are the S2. And then you've got the top-tier, well, not quite top-tier because there's private stock, but you've got the higher-tier ones as being, the core models. Fender, entry-level is Squire. Then you've got made in Mexico. Then you've got made in the USA. Gibson don't seem to do that. They're putting the same brand name on like the entry-level Epiphones as they put on the sub over the kind of £1,000 plus Epiphones. I'm thinking of like the various Joe Bonamassa Les Pauls and the Gary Moore Greeny Epiphone and so on. And I do think that sort of middle tier of Epiphones, the kind of the expensive ones, they should really rebrand those as something other than Epiphone. Might be an idea to bring back the Orville brand that they messed with for a while. I think that would be possibly a thing to do, but there's a haziness, in the Epiphone branding, which like there's the sort of the real entry level stuff, and then the higher tier stuff, which are really great guitars, and I think that they need something to distinguish themselves from it, other than just like that kind of double diamond kind of decal on the back of the control cover, isn't it? Anyway, what else am I missing in the chat? Theme Tunes is saying, Steve Hackett played a Fernandez for Yonks, prefers it to his Gibsons, I believe, and not so prone to getting nicked. And I also believe that he bought that from Gary Moore. Paul and his guitars is saying, my dad was never into football, hence neither am I. He is a musician, though. Yeah, I don't know where I got the music thing from. Nobody in my immediate family, me kind of, me one surviving grandparent when I was a kid, both me parents, any of me aunties or uncles, none of them played a musical instrument. The only musical person in our family, I believe, was my grandfather, who I never met because he died before I was born. My maternal grandfather, he was part of that generation that grew up where you didn't have, the only kind of form of entertainment you had in your house was maybe the old wireless set and an upright piano in the living room. And I believe he could bash out a little bit of, roll out the barrel or knees up Mother Brown on the piano. Johnny D is saying, I would have a job allowing myself to pay more £1,000 plus for a standard Epiphone. Yeah, that's the thing it is for me. It's still like in my mind, and I know they're not. I know they're a long tradition, a company with a long tradition and an illustrious history. But in my mind, Epiphone are Gibson's budget brand. Okay, I know they're not. Before anybody starts screaming at me about, the great tradition that they've got before. They were owned by Gibson of being a great company in their own right. But during my lifetime, Epiphone have been Gibson's kind of budget option. So, and that's so strongly ingrained in me that I think in terms of, well, yeah, if that had like a different brand name on the top, I'd buy it. And I know it's I rail about this all the time about, I don't care about what badge your guitar has, but, deep down, I think we all, well, certainly I do to some extent, and I'm just not paying over £1,000 for an Epiphone, and that's an end of it. Jeff Rock is saying, I have a Columbus Les Paul from the 70s, John. It's a cherry sunburst. The pickups are Goto double cream humbuckers PAF output. Nice one, mate. Nice one. What else have I missed further down? Mark Farr is saying, you want to spend £1,000 on a Les Paul style guitar by made in Japan, Tokai Love Rock. Yeah, I used to be in a band with a guy who had a Tokai Love Rock, and it was a Japanese one. That was a beast of a guitar. It weighed an absolute metric ton, although I might be exaggerating slightly there. But it was a beautiful guitar. I mean, beautiful, both in terms of the sound he used to get out of it. What was he plugged into, that chap? What amp did he used to have? Can't remember. I think it was maybe a crate amp. Remember those? Dear me. Remember when we aspired to have it might have been, I can't remember. But yeah, he used to get a beautiful tone out of that. Where are we? Stefan Barr is saying, I'm a Gibson guy, but I prefer Fender Squiers to Epiphones. Yep. I've just done a really, really. I'm going to be sorry to see this go, but it's in a box over there that's getting picked up tomorrow. The Fender Squier. What's it? Paranormal Nashville Stratocaster. And I've got to tell you, that's probably the best Squier I've ever played. Beautiful guitar. Absolutely. If I wasn't in the process of squirreling money away to pay the taxman in January, because, let's face it, if you want world-class public services, they've got to be paid for. Indeed. But yeah, I'm kind of squirreling money away from my tax bill in January. If I hadn't have been, I might have been tempted to make an offer on that guitar. Jay Aoyong is saying, yeah, crate amps was such a thing in the 80s, gone down the drain since then. And Steve Cassidy, I used to gig a crate 2B12 too. Far from amazing, but the sound was good enough for the pubs. Yeah. It's not going to happen, but if it were to happen, if I was to go back to the business of getting on my hind legs in front of an audience in a pub environment, then I think I would just play it safe and go for the venerable PV Bandit. It's just, I know that the Boss Katana has kind of taken over from that in terms of the affordable, do everything, bulletproof amp, but yeah, I briefly had a Boss Katana in the very early days of this current incarnation of the channel, and yeah, I wasn't that keen on it. What's it? Johnny D. I've got a Fender Mustang GTX 100 in excellent nick with a 7-button switch for sale if anyone's interested. Yeah, okay, let's see if we can generate... Let's put together a transaction here. Johnny D's got a Fender Mustang GTX 100, excellent condition, 7-button foot switch for sale if anyone's interested. Just home studio use, and it's virtually new, bought it last year. If you're interested in one of those, get in touch with me, jrguitartuition@gmail.com. And Johnny, send me an email so I've got your email address and I can connect you with whoever might be interested in buying a great little amp like that. Cylon Hybrid is saying standing up for a few hours ends it for me. Yes. Yeah, just like, I mean, I played my first gig, if you can call it a gig. Would you call this a gig? I played my first gig in a school assembly when I was 15 years old. I think actually I was only 14. And then I finally hung up my gigging spurs in 2014. So that's, how I do the sums. I can't be bothered. But that's a fair old run, and I've been out of it for a long enough time now that I don't miss it anymore. So I don't think I'd ever be tempted back out onto doing live work. I enjoy what I'm doing here too much, to be honest with you. Where are we? Mark Carr just sold his PV Bandit Red Stripe last week. Time to upgrade. What you're upgrading to, mate? What's on your shopping list? Anyway, a viewer's tale, I think. We'll go and grab one of those. Again, if you have any stories of a amusing nature, could be a brush with fame, could be just something where there's nobody famous involved. As long as it's some kind of anecdote about you involved in a musical situation, ping them over to me, jrguitartuition@gmail.com. This one comes from Peter Collins, and he says, "Hi, John. In 2001-2002, I was playing guitar in a Stax soul band, gigging mainly in working men's clubs in the Northwest. Our sax player was a guy called Jeff Peach, who was a bit older than the rest of us and had started playing in bands in the 60s. I always used to give Jeff a lift to our gigs, and after we'd set up and had a pint at the bar, before we played. Jeff often told me stories about his career in music, most of which I can't remember 20 years later, and sadly he passed away a few years ago. His first band was a Manchester Stax soul band called The Big Sound, which later spawned Brian and Michael, who had a hit with Matchstalk Men and Matchstalk Cats and Dogs. I remember it well. In the 70s. The Big Sound went on to be the backing band for 60s singer Carol Keys, who was known as Luann Phillips in the 70s band 5,000 Volts. That rings a bell with me. After backing Carol, they were asked to back Rock Nalle. Nalle. Draw your own conclusions. A singer famous in Denmark, and they went on to tour Denmark, Germany, and Israel. For a while, Jeff lived in London and played flute on Van de Graaff Generator's first album, and also had credits on Sandy Shaw's 1969 album, reviewing the situation. For a time, he was in the US band Pacific Gas and Electric, which was fronted by Charlie Allen. Jeff is playing sax in this video, and he sent me a link, which obviously I can't, I'll put it in the chat. I'll just put that onto the clipboard, and there we go. I'll pop that in the chat later. He was in a later version of the Foundations. He had done much more, but unfortunately I can't remember now. Anyway, the story I remember best was when Jeff was living in London, which went something like this. Me and the missus were at the party one night, and the host asked us if we could put up one of the other guests and his girlfriend for the night. I didn't realise who it was. I thought it was just some guy with a big nose. It turned out that it was Jeff Beck. We let them have our bedroom and slept in the spare room. I don't know what they were up to, but me and the missus had just bought a new bottle of Johnson's baby oil, and it was empty in the morning. Not a personal story, but it was an honour to have known Jeff and played in the same band for a while. He was a lovely chap. Yes, and anyway, here's that that link that Peter so kindly told me. So yes, that's his mate Jeff playing on that video. If you want to click on it and crack and watch it at some point. 5,000 volts, honey. Now I'm on fire. I remember it now. Yes, indeed. Excuse me. Time for the topple. Here it is. And yes, Jeff Beck and Johnson's Baby. Yeah, I'm not going to think too much about that. That's going to conjure up a mental image of Jeff that I can live without. Thank you very much. Where are we? Mark Farley is saying PV Classic 30 valve amp made in the USA. Nice gigging amp, no less than Ronnie Wood said that you don't need more than 30 watts in smaller venues like pubs and clubs. Yeah, that's I gather that's what's replacing the red stripe. Yeah, 30 watts. A 30 watt valve amp is going to be plenty for any situation. There's a venue near us in the northeast of England called the Georgian Theatre, and I played there a couple of times 30 years ago, and it was at the time I had my Marshall 30th anniversary, which was a 100 watt amp, but you could switch it from pentode into triode mode and half the power, and then you could switch two of the valves out and take it down to half the power again, so a 25 watt amp. And it's a bloody big room, and there was no miking up going on. It's just like, you were just on stage, and what came out of your amp had to be heard right at the back of the room, and anything over even on the 25 watt setting, that amp was too loud there. But the 25 watt solid state amp, is often not quite as loud, I find. I think a lot of us mistake, the wattage as being a measure of volume when it isn't. Something from my electronics days tells me that, every time you double the power, you only get a 3 decibel increase in volume, or something along those lines. I can't quite remember, but if there's anybody out there who's got a better memory for me than electronics and that kind of theory, then please enlighten me. Steve Cassidy, he probably just had a really dry fretboard. I'm going to say that, yeah, baby oil on the fretboard. That's I wonder if that's advisable. I'm not going to try it. Bill Mumbo saying, I remember Dr. Kiss by 5,000 volts. I think I might have, yeah, okay. The name 5,000 volts definitely rings a bell with me. I'm going to be all over YouTube later, kind of looking them up. What are you saying there? Mark Card is saying, I like the PV Classic 30 also, but it's a pain in the Rutimus Maximus if you need to work on the amp due to the folded PCB board. Yes, but that's why you have to know. I don't know if he's still around, but there's for years there was a guy in Middlesbrough called Clever Trevor, who basically everybody, especially if you owned a Marshall, it was always living at Clever Trevor's place because Marshall with Marshall reliability. Thank you so much. That's correct. 3 dB for each doubling of the wattage. That's nice to know. The Lamb, what you're saying there, mate? Speaker efficiency is very much a part of the equation. They can vary wildly. Some can be 12 dB louder for the same oomph. Again, Glenn Fricker, doesn't he? He always says, the most important thing is in your guitar tone is your speaker. And, I've only really found that out because I've never been one for swapping speakers, this speaker in an amplifier, then that one, then this one, then that one. And I've never really been a stack user. I've always been sort of, a combo guy. But since playing around, especially as I sometimes do with amp sims, changing the impulse response, which is basically changing the speaker, it does have a massive, impact on the sound. So, on the volume as well, it seems. And Robbie Gladwell just did some work on my Headless Strandberg copy and used some choice language about it. Yes. Lamb is saying, I had a 20-watt valve amp with some old Jensen speakers in it. Even on full chat, you could barely hear it over the drummer. Yeah, there you go. Speakers make a difference. Who knew? The thing that makes the sound makes a difference to the sound. Yes, obvious when you think about it, isn't it? Bill Mumbo saying, shocking blue recorded Venus. This is back to the 5,000 volts conversation again. Age has a few advantages. Yes, I recently did it. Well, how recently was it? Sometime relatively recently. In the last 12 months, I did a Patreon solo analysis of the guitar solo from Shocking Blue's version of Venus. And then, of course, every great songs like that, all it takes is one dodgy cover version and it can ruin it for you, doesn't it? Banana Rama, anyone? Let's have a look. In the dying moments of the game, let's see if there's any other hot topics that need addressing. Let's have a wee look. Malcolm Spillett saying, I had an 18-watt Hughes and Kettner stack, excellent amp. Cylon Hybrid, still got a PV 15-inch solid state, but valve emulation, 8-inch speaker, red stripe, unbelievably loud. Well, that's nice to know. PV are one of those brands that just quietly get on with making, pro-quality products, but nobody ever seems to aspire to them, which I think is a bit unfair. It's, as my mate Steve Hoggett often says, he says he was talking about some piece of kit and he was saying, you know what, it's a PV. It'll work underwater if you need it to. Steve Cassidy. McCartney's cover of We Are the Cheeky Girls totally ruined the original for me. I know of the Cheeky Girls, but I don't know the song. I know of the Cheeky Girls because I think one of them was on some quiz show, like one of these celebrity quiz. It might have been The Chase or something like that, ages ago, and I had to ask the missus who she was. Cylon Hybrid saying, give our love to the wife and Dougal. I shall do, mate. And with that, we're 59 minutes and change in. So I'm going to wrap it up there, chaps. Thank you once again for turning up and listening to a fat, bald northern lad talk absolute bollocks for an hour. Pay no attention to anything I've said. It's probably rubbish. How's Dougal, says Rent-to-Kill. He's probably snoring at the moment and breaking wind. He's been doing that most of the day. Thank you once again, everyone. It's been a blast, and I'll keep on doing it till you're sick of me. But for now, time, gentlemen, please.